Alex, we're here, another episode of Opt-in. We've got 5 minutes on the clock, and today I want to talk about what's on the screen right now. I think this is the first opt-in that we've done where we have a visual component associated with it other than our shining, beautiful faces.
I don't think we count as visual components.
Fair. But this is a flowchart that I found from Ethan Beute. He's the chief evangelist over at BombBomb. We had a great conversation about getting noticed and how to stick out amongst the sea of prospecting messaging that goes out there these days. So I wanted to spend some time and go through some of the levels of this chart, starting at the top here from attention and working our way down to what I think is the holy grail of all of this under the value section here, under novel, under unfamiliar. Sound good?
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
So how do you grab attention? I think that this is like it's a hot button topic in sales development, obviously, because there's a lot of people out there vying for attention. I'm not that big of a deal, and I get way too many prospecting emails and LinkedIn messages on a daily basis to the point where names blur together, right? Like if you want to grab my attention, you need to either be familiar or be novel in some capacity. And we've talked about familiarity a little bit in terms of carving out space in prospects' brains for name, brand, etc., stuff like that, keeping in touch with them on social, making sure you have enough touches in your cadence. Listen to our other opt-ins for that. But on this side of things, if you go in and you are unfamiliar, like the prospect sees your name and they're like, I don't know who this is, Alex Ellison does not ring a bell to me, then you have one opportunity to come across as either novel or boring. And if you're boring, you're going to get deleted. That's just a fact of the matter. People aren't going to take the time, broadly speaking, to go ahead and read what you have to say, to try and dig into your value props if you're unfamiliar and you haven't hooked them immediately. Knowing that, I think a lot of people go into the novel side of things and they make a crucial error, and it is being so novel and personalized that you then lose relevance in your messaging. An example is, I got an email somewhat recently where someone was like, hey, I saw that you were a member of Rev Genius. I'm also a member of Rev Genius. And I'm like, cool, a connection that we have. They then just pitched me. Like, that was it. It was like, hey, you're in Rev Genius, I'm in Rev Genius. Anyway, do you want to hear about my product? And I'm like, that's not really compelling, right? Like you hooked me, sure, with the personalization at the top, but you're not novel in any capacity. You haven't added any value to me outside of noting that we have something in common. And so that kind of also leads you into the ignore, delete, or block scenario. So I'll ask you, I've been talking a lot for this episode. What are some examples of situations where you've seen SDRs add that level of relevance and novelty to their messaging where they do provide value and they're able to actually communicate, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to add some value to your situation with my solution?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit it on the head there with my solution. I think it's really important to make the personalization fit the product, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great if somebody connects with me because they went to the same college, but at no point am I going to buy with them because our degree has the same words on it, right? Like that doesn't make sense to me. I understand, like I might read it, but from there, the next step is really making sure that you have that relevance. So for me, a lot of the times they can start that way, but then also having researched the company or like maybe our problems and what's going on is a big part. So, hey, saw you went to, the same college. By the way, I saw you handle this over at your company. Our product does this. That's a great way to use personalization when it's not that relevant, but you don't want to dwell on it and then just jump right into it. You want to have some research that's about relevancy and then some research that's about personalization. I think that's how I'd phrase it.
Yeah. I think there's a big continuity issue. A lot of emails that don't do that and they read very disjointed, right? Like there's a hook or like some type of personalization at the beginning where the SDR is like, look at me, like I did research, I've done my job, I've learned about you. And then they don't use any of that research in the rest of their messaging. What I've seen companies do that works, and I'll call out specifically Clary. They do a really good job at this, and their VP Kyle Coleman does a good job at promoting a lot of the stuff that they put together internally in terms of cold emails. It's taking that personalization and then tying it back to, like you were saying, the product or the solution in some capacity, noting in some way that their platform is like, Alex, you're a big fan of baseball, right? You love the Mariners, man. I hope they do really well this year. Much like baseball, you need to be very statistics and data driven to know that your lineup is optimized. That's exactly what we do here at blah, 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 whatever your company is, right? Like, that's a really easy way to tie those things together. And I know we're out of time here, so I'll finish with this, but like, it's something that is small. It's a small little connection that you have to make as an SDR to go from that personalized portion to the value that your solution provides. And it's missed in so many different emails. And it's what causes people to go from this unfamiliar section to boring instead of novel. And once you get into novel and you can start adding value, that's where you'll see your engagement take off.
All right, AJ, 15 seconds. Tell everybody about Opt-in.
Opt-in, quick 5-ish minute videos, actionable sales development tips, minimal fluff. You can find us on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on our Instagram, and on the website, demanddraft.com.
Yep. We were out of time, so I didn't want to keep going.
I know, but I was expecting just like a, yep, totally agree, but you're just,
Yep.
Fuck.
So we're good?
Yeah, sure. Keep it all in. I don't care anymore. This is fully unedited. Opt-in after dark. This is vodka. We're having a good time.
10:30 in the morning.